Okay, hi everybody. It's Monday, March 22nd, and this week you will be doing some urban sketching, which you should go outside and do it. If you're more comfortable using a photograph, first go outside and photograph what you're going to draw. What I find it the easiest way to do it is to actually go out on site with just a pencil and sketch. And then I bring it home, I photograph it, and then I bring it home, and then I add the color, the watercolor. So if you feel comfortable doing it that way, or if you feel like taking your watercolors with you, you could also do that and do it all on site. But it really is something that you should only use a photograph to actually draw the drawing from as a last resort. So you're looking at this is this week's assignments. And what I'm going to skip to right now is to the pastel exercises. You've worked with watercolor before. I have a video up for you on complementary and analogous color schemes and the library research brief. I want to do a quick screen share to show you how to access Artstor in case anybody hasn't done that, doesn't know how to do it. So I think I have a video of that too, but I'm just going to go through it really quickly right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to student view. So excuse me. Where's student view? Okay. Home. Maybe it's behind here. Yep. Okay, student view. And demo for brainstorming, that's old stuff. Okay, so this is what your page looks like. You would just go to do the library assignment, library research brief. You have to look up these artists in Artstor. It's a very specific database from the PCC library. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over here, head to your left to this menu, hit library. And when you get to library, you're going to scroll down and go to databases and click on databases. Once you get to databases, you're going to be in the different databases. You're looking for Artstor, which is a visual database. So I'm just going to scroll down. Artstor, here's the last one in the A's alphabetically. You have to sign in because Artstor charges for their services, but Pasadena City College pays for you to use the database. Actually, it's the state of California. So once you reach this page, you can start typing in the names of the artists who are part of the list. So I think the first one I'm going to do is Do Ho. As a sculptor, he's one of my favorite artists, but he also has drawings, and you can actually do drawings of his sculptures if you would like to do that. That's also an option as long as it's monochromatic. Remember, this is a monochromatic assignment. So you're not looking for a monochromatic image to copy. You're looking for a more colorful image that you are going to translate into a monochromatic drawing. That means only using one hue, which hue is a color. So let's see what we have here. So this pulls up all of his work. He's done some really interesting work. This one I've always found really interesting. He is a Korean artist, and I think this is a reference to the Korean War, where each one of these red strings is a paratrooper. And so all of these are little tiny red, really thin red strings that are attached to a parachute that is attached to the wall. And then from there's all, I don't know how many thousands of little red strings, and they come up and he's holding them. So there's another image that shows you the detail of him holding them right here. So when you look at this image, you can see how tiny those strings are and how many there are. So if you wanted to, you could do a monochromatic drawing of this image. That's up to you. So he's, I believe, the only sculptor I really put on here. Banksy is kind of, he's like undefinable in some ways, because his work is mostly two-dimensional, but he does do some three-dimensional work. And he has a somewhat mysterious way of working. Okay, so I was trying to see if there's any drawings by Stoho. So it looks like there are. Here's the drawing, if you're interested in his work and what he does in drawing. Now, that's a very simple drawing, but if you look at it, it really is like figures that are balled up and tightened with their knees to their chest. So if you do something like this, make sure that you really pay attention to all the forms that you're doing and not just a lot of scribbling. So another drawing by Doho So. Now this one is already monochromatic, so I would say you can't really do this one because you can't do any drawings that have already been turned monochromatic for you. But you could draw this figure that's in front of that drawing. Okay, so we're going to go to another artist now. Let's do Kara Walker. So Kara Walker, she's a little controversial sometimes. She does silhouettes of the South, and it's a parody, and it's trying to make people aware of the antebellum sentiments and the contradictions in it, and just from her perspective as a Black woman. So if you want to read about her, once I show you a few more artists, I'll show you how you can actually read about some of these artists, which isn't part of your assignment, but some of you might be interested in it. So I will show you that quickly before I close off the screen share. So there's basically, this pulls up all the work that she's done. You can look at her drawings. Here's a drawing. This would be something that you would really have to get a close-up views, and to get a close-up view, you just kind of click on it and it gets bigger. It's a little hard to see what's going on, but you could take inspiration from this Black history. So it has all these sort of events and things that are going through Black history. And another artist that we can look at, let's look at Cameroon. Camrose. And he does very vibrant paintings, and you could do this in watercolor as well. So here you can see that it's very a muted color that he's using. Let's see if I can just go to the next one. Next. I don't think it lets me do that. Okay. And this is also, it's vibrant, but it's, look at the values. The values are all very dark. And the white values, these contrasts where he uses high contrast, that's what really makes this drawing pop. Because even though there's so much dark, he has some really light values. So it's a very high contrast image, is what makes this image really work well. Part of what makes it work well. The other part is just he's really good artist. So let's look at this again. So he does a lot of sort of ornamental, decorative, and I think that they mean more than that. But again, if you want to read about it, you can. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So let's do one more of his images. Look at. You could also download these if you want. Why isn't this one opening? Let's see. Try it again. There it goes. Sometimes it just kind of slows down, and if you go back and try it again, it'll come up. So you can scroll in and look at the details, pull back and look at that. Again, another dark image with high contrast. So let's look at one more artist. Let's look at, okay. Let's look at Jenny Seville. Some people were offended by the work. And when I first started seeing her work, it was more, so you see this image, this is the image that one of the students copied in red. And it's on the assignment page. It's not opening. I'm not going to wait for that. But part of the reason that some of her imagery seems brutal, she started out by using models that are not your traditional looking model, that models that were obese, and a lot of models that were planning to go to surgery for fat reduction. So she would actually take pictures of where the doctors would mark them in preparation for the surgeries. And it looks like this one's going to open. And then she would do the paintings. On this one's not what I'm used to seeing of her work, because usually one of the things that really makes her work stand out for me is that the models are usually like staring right at you, which usually, you know, we gaze at the model's not gazing at us. So that's Jenny Seville's work if you're interested in that. If you're not, you can do 10 other artists and you can just avoid her completely. So I'm going to go back now. Let's see, art store, that was the beginning of it. I'm going to go back to actually the library. So I just want to go to the library, and I'm going to delete all that. Maybe it'll take me back to the library. No. So to go back to the library, back to results, back to the library, back to the library. Okay, it came up. There's that one. So you'll see that one that one of the students last semester did in red pastel for her monochromatic image. I kept trying to open it. There must be another way to go back, but probably this is blocking it. Okay. Let's see here. Yes. So I went back to the database, and the database, if you want to read about any of the artists, you can go to EBSCOhost right here. You want to go to EBSCOhost combined, not the ebook collection, not that one. You want to go to EBSCOhost combined. And it's going to have magazines that you can read and look at a magazine about one of the artists. So let's do Kara Walker when we get to the database. Okay, so if I just type in here, Kara Walker, hit search, and it's going to give me a lot of magazine articles. So you can see this is an academic journal. This is a periodical. This is an academic journal, periodical, and then you could read what they're about. So this is Disgust and Silhouette, Toni Morrison, Kara Walker, and the Aesthetics of Violence. So this is, if you click on it, it's an academic journal, so it's talking about the work. And if you wanted to read the entire text, you could just get it as a PDF and it'll have all the photos included. So if you click on there, you're going to get the magazine article and you can read what Kara Walker, what her intentions and how it's been received if you're interested. And this is true for all the artists on the list. Any artist that is on the list, you can find magazine articles about them through EBSCOhost. Okay, so I'm going to end this screen share now because I want to talk a little bit about, I want to show you some stuff on there. And I don't know why it doesn't have the little window of me. I think that if I do a screen share of my other camera, it might pull that up. But I don't want you to be seeing me. I'm going to switch cameras. I want you to see the, yeah, that's what I want you to see. Well, now you see it twice. Okay, so the pastels, you're going to be doing an exercise. And you can do whatever color you want for the exercise, because for the exercise, you're going to start to blend. You're going to take one color. I'm going to use this green. These are, I took these out of my larger set of new pastels. I only have this much left of this one because these are the colors you have in the set of 12. If you have a larger set, you know, just use complementary color to darken, and I'll show you what I mean by that. The first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to try these two reds because my history with Prismacolor pastels, I just remember them being really chalky and unusable. These are not, these are fine. All right. So let's say you want to go with red. So if you want to go with red, you're going to practice your different values of red. And so to get some different shades of red, you can add other colors. So let's do some white. So if we add white, use that shade. Less white, darker. let's add even more white here to get a light pink. And I'm blending with my fingers. You can use a clean chamois if you don't want to use your fingers. And here, we could go even a tad lighter. Here, maybe. So that's even darker than that. This one, I'm just going to put, and mostly the white, maybe some of the lighter colors on my fingers. That seems like I need it a little darker. And I want to get the white off my fingers, my finger, before I blend this one. So there you have a blending of the darkest to the dark to the light. And this doesn't get very dark. So how are you going to get to your really dark darks if you use red? Okay, I'll show you that now. So if you're going to use red, let's do that again. Do 5 swatches of, they label this red, but this looks more like pink to me. So that's the problem with the smaller sets of the Prismacolor. They give you kind of these weird colors to work with. No real red. You get a kind of a rose color and an orange, but we can work with it. So opposite color of red is green, and I'm going to use the darker green because I want to darken. So, and you want to remember that when you use a complementary color to darken, you still want to have this color. It's just going to be a much darker shade, so you don't want it to become a green color. So how much green can I add without it becoming green? And this is why you want to do these exercises, so that when you approach your drawing, you have some idea of how you're going to get your darkest colors. You can also use black, and I'm going to do that after I use the complementary color to darken. It will give you the option of more shades because the black is going to darken it in a different way. So try to get rid of some of that central green area. And if it starts to get too green, you can just put more of your color over it. So this is lighter than that. So let's try to darken this a little lighter than this, but darker than what it is. So just adding a little bit of the complementary color darkens it. We might be able to add just a tiny bit more and still be lighter than this. And now here, we just want this to have a hint of darker value than the original. And if you think you go too far, you can fix it by adding more. So you can see the progression. And now black. So again, we're going to do 5 swatches. They break, that's good. And they're easier to use on the edge anyway. So green. No, black this time. Okay. So down here is my darkest. Now that's just starting to look black. I want it to still have some red quality. Although you can add pure black into your monochromatic if you want in some areas, as long as the majority of your drawing isn't done in black. So you still have a red value here, but a very dark red value. So, and black is a very intense color, so you don't have to add very much of it. And then we have a lighter value of the black, and probably have a lot of black on my hand already, so get rid of some of that and put more red, although I want to call it pink because it doesn't seem red to me. Okay, so that's darker, but it's uneven. Can I smooth this out a bit, make it a little more even without it being darker than that other one? There. I think that's good. And so now this one is just going to have a hint of darkness. And that does look brighter than this. And now we're back to the original color, which you can make it darker also by just layering it a little bit. So 15 different values that you can use in a monochromatic image, as well as using pure black in small areas or pure white. And remember, you do not want to have any of the white of your page showing. Another thing is you don't want to do your drawing and say, you know, say you're doing a fuchsia flower, and then these are some leaves. That's not what we want. We want, see how you can see the white of the page through the pastel? You don't want any of that. See these color swatches? They're solid values. That's what you want to do. And it doesn't mean that you have to blend everything, because you can have an area blended and then you can come on top and you can do that. And you can just leave marks like that. You can leave about 1% of your complementary color showing as green to get a highlight, just to add some interest if you want. You wouldn't have this much green. So if I was making, I would have to make this red. And then I would have to keep adding a lot of values by using these to refine it and actually turn it into a flower. Right now it's just a blob. So I'm looking at the time and it's 2 o'clock. So I'm going to end this video. I think that I might do another video on Wednesday. Let me know if you would want that. I can do a video on Wednesday of the monochromatic drawing. Although I did post, I think from last semester, the demo that I did, so you can watch that. That's it for today.